I know it's already March, but I don't care. There's a couple movies that have already came out this year which maybe would have made the list, but this video is exclusively talking about unreleased projects. Before we get into it, I have 3 honourable mentions. The first is Next Goal Wins. It's directed by Taika Waititi and it's an interesting direction for his career. In recent years, he's had an Oscar win with Jojo Rabbit, and he's had a big budget critical flop with Thor Love and Thunder. Maybe flop is a harsh description, but it definitely had a mixed reception. After both those career-defining moments, he's choosing to make what seemingly is a low-budget, back-to-basic sports comedy drama. It's based on a true story about the weakest football team in the world and their beautiful underdog story in 2011. Cool stuff. Second honourable mention is Megalopolis. Letterboxd says it's about an architect wanting to rebuild New York City as a utopia following a devastating disaster, and it stars these lovely people. That's not why I'm excited though. I'm excited because Francis Coppola, the director of The Godfathers and Apocalypse Now, is self-funding this movie, and apparently it is chaos on set. He's fired almost all of his visual effects team, and a few of his crew have resigned as well. Ever since the end of the 70s, Coppola's just been doing whatever he feels like, which I deeply respect, and this movie seems like the peak of it. The reason it's only an honourable mention is because of all of these set troubles. I believe it's going to release in 2024, so it doesn't qualify. Oh yes, and also Napoleon. I'm not really a historical epic guy, but the idea of Ridley Scott and Joaquin Phoenix making a film about this topic intrigues me. However, as a film bro, I'm a little more excited for the Steven Spielberg miniseries about Napoleon, based on the Stanley Kubrick written Napoleon screenplay which never got made. Though that won't be this year either.
WW. I mean, who you figure that is, huh? Willy Wonka?
I did not care about this movie at all, but while researching for this video, I learned that it's directed by the guy who did The Paddingtons, and that it's going to stick to the family adventure comedy genre, which is promising. Along with the director hype, I'm also excited because Timothée Chalamet is probably top 5 young actors working right now. Maybe he'd even be number 1, I don't know.
Hey, this guy's a commie!
This is another movie I did not care about at all until I saw the trailer. Yes, it does have a lot of biopic cliches, the whole Tetris, what the hell kind of name is that? I don't see it being successful, but it seems pretty unique. There's seemingly small bursts of an 8-bit art style going on. I wonder what that will look like in the final film. And I love how ridiculous the trailer gets in the last 30 seconds. It makes it seem like Tetris is going to collapse the Soviet Union.
Dude, as soon as you finish your drink, turn yourself in.
Got me again, Flash!
I've liked a couple movies from the DCEU, but overall it's all been very much a failure in my eyes. Which is unfortunate because as a kid I was a huge DC fan because of the cartoons and comics and games and whatnot. And even to this day, I would say that I prefer the world and characters of DC to Marvel by a decent margin. Along with this, Flash is probably my favourite Justice League member. I mean, he's definitely top 3. He's on par with Batman and Superman in terms of personal love. I just say Flash is my favourite now because the other 2 are basic choices. So with all that information, I should really be excited for this. But for a while, I really wasn't. Like for so many others, the idea of this film left a bad taste in my mouth because Ezra Miller has so much drama going on. However, 3 things swayed me. 1. James Gunn says he likes the movie.
The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love.
As head of DC, you'd expect him to be hyping up every movie, but ever since he's been put in that role, he's been surprisingly critical publicly about the universe, which I respect. And him actually saying he's a big fan of this one shows that should not be disregarded. I am a big James Gunn fan after all. 2. The trailer. I fear that the trailer gave away the entire movie out of desperation of getting fans back on board, but it worked on me so I can't really hate on it. I'm a fan of Keaton's Batman, the 2 Barrys could be funny, and it looks well shot. The only issue I have with the trailer, which isn't really an issue, I just find it a bit ridiculous, is that I thought it ended like 4 times, but then it kept coming back with a and a that's just modern trailers for you. Oh yes, the third reason I'm excited for this is because apparently this is the transition point between the old DCEU and the new James Gunn and Safran DCU, and I'm interested to see how they do that.
I'm Mia! I'm Tia! We're like your biggest fans!
Michael Mann, the director of these movies, is making a film about a crisis in Enzo Ferrari's life. It's starring Adam Driver. His name is Driver. And as a casual car fan and as a mid-20th century enjoyer, I am intrigued. Why is this higher than The Flash, which I had so much more to say about? Well, I currently have no reasons to be skeptical about this one, while I have like 20 reasons to fear The Flash.
If you don't get physically ill seeing your first rough cut, something's wrong.
Scorsese's next movie. I know nothing about it other than it's a crime movie with DiCaprio, De Niro, and Brendan Fraser. I'm not going to look any deeper into it for this video because for some of the movies here, I do want to go in generally blind.
Take your hands off my lobby boy!
Wes Anderson's next movie is about stargazing or something. It stars literally every actor ever, and it probably would be higher on this list if there was like a trailer or something, but it's hard to be astronomically excited about just the title. To be honest, I couldn't think of a funny audio clip for this one. The movie is Beau's Afraid. Ari Aster is one of the most promising new filmmakers. I liked Midsommar and I loved Hereditary, but I felt like those movies had a little too many parallels going on, and I don't want to see a guy like this putting himself in a box. Luckily, Beau's Afraid is I don't know how to describe it. I've never seen anything like it before, just watch the trailer. I don't even think it's a horror, it's described as a nightmare comedy, so I'm intrigued. It's the most different thing on this list. This one just looks really good. There's a chance Nolan could finally get Best Picture at next year's Triple Neon Film Awards with this one. I'm mainly excited for it because it stars Josh from Drake and Josh as well as Roderick Heffley in very minor roles. I can't wait to cheer when they come on screen. Also, I wonder whether Christopher Nolan will control himself and not turn the final act of this movie into a plot twist-filled time travel action set piece.
I think it's a privilege to call yourself a Scientologist, and it's something that you have to earn.
Mission Impossible is one of the only franchises with this many movies where arguably every movie is better than the previous one, generally. So I just know that Dead Reckoning will be good. The only reason I have to be skeptical is that it's a part one of a two-part conclusion to the whole franchise. It could very easily be a lackluster build-up to a final movie, and it's also hard creating conclusions to iconic franchises. But I think the craze will handle it. After every single Mission Impossible movie, I always think they've done literally every possible action set piece. But based off this trailer, it seems like Tom figured out a new stupid thing to do, so I'm happy for him.
No ticket.
I don't like the title of this one, but the trailer looks good. It keeps that classic cheesy tone. Harrison is a spry 80-year-old. I like the late 60s Cold War space race setting. It seemingly has nice action, and it looks quite pretty. I do find it interesting how in the Indiana Jones series we have Raiders, classic. Then with Temple of Doom they go in a different direction and not everyone likes it. So they decide to make Raiders again. No shade to Last Crusade, it's my favorite, but still. Then they go in a different direction with Crystal Skull, and people really didn't like that one, so they're seemingly making Raiders again. I don't know whether this is true, but I remember hearing somewhere that the Indiana Jones series was originally intended so that each movie would be very different from the previous. However, fans fell so in love with the tone and structure of Raiders that an Indiana Jones movie about aliens is just blasphemous. Obviously, Crystal Skull isn't good, but you get what I'm saying. I do wish though that instead of bringing in Phoebe Waller-Bridge, they would have tried giving Shia LaBeouf's character a second go, but I know fans wouldn't have liked that. I still believe the creators are cowards though. We need a movie. Kidding? No. Dial of Destiny should be the last Indiana Jones movie, but I see a future where Harrison Ford is dead and they use the de-aging technology found in this trailer to make a movie completely without him. Please no, think of a new franchise, thank you.
First, of course, is Mario, who will be played by Chris Pratt. He's so cool.
You can just tell from the trailer that this is going to be a good time. I do feel like a lot of people are expecting a masterpiece, air quotes, from this thing, and it's probably only going to be pretty good. But either way, that is better than what the expectations originally were when this movie was first announced.
It's a Mario.
Also, I'm so glad an Illuminations movie has animation like this. I think Spider-Verse Happening has been so influential for the animation industry, and while sometimes it can lead to everything feeling like a Spider-Verse copycat, this movie has its own style, and Spider-Verse's influence is a net positive.
What's a Krang? If we told you, we'd have to kill you. You see, the Krang are aliens from another dimension.
Just like Mario, this is one of those Spider-Verse inspired animated movies with some of the craziest casting ever. Like Seth Rogen, Jackie Chan, Ice Cube, John Cena, Paul Rudd, Maya Rudolph, Post Malone, and Gus Fring. Yet even with all that talent, they made the right decision to cast relatively unknown teenage actors for the 4 main roles. Also, this is going to be made by Seth Rogen's production company, which on first glance may be a little strange, but it just shows that this is going to be a labor of love by Seth. All good adaptations come from a place of passion and love for the source material, so this will be good.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
The Guardians are my favorite part of the MCU. The movies are colorful and funny and make you cry. They're everything a superhero movie should be. Conclusion is something the MCU doesn't like, but I have faith that James is going to be able to fulfill his creative vision. Also, the MCU still needs a really good trilogy. Best one in my eyes is maybe the Captain America one. I personally like all of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies as well, but I know that's controversial. Even if those trilogies are good, they're not very self-contained. The Guardians are the only characters in the MCU that just fully do their own thing, which is great. There's been 2 trailers for this, and I still don't really know what it's about. I've heard that it's rocket focused, I think. The only thing I know is at least 2 of them characters are going to die. My guess, Mario and the panda.
Can't do it on command.
Can't do it on command, but he can do so much more. Like what else do you do?
Just those two things.
Just those two things.
Speaking of great superhero movies, this year we'll have a sequel to the best superhero movie ever. I fear that Across the Spider-Verse may go too big and lose the relatability and charm of the first, but I think the film is in safe hands and the creators are clearly taking their time with it, which is a good thing. Also, this franchise is still the goats of animation. It only seems like they've gotten better from what we've seen. Based off the trailer, this movie may focus on Miles' mum instead of his dad, as well as Miles' relationship with Gwen. Both good mix-ups for the character. I'm glad 2099 Spider-Man is in focus because as a kid he was always my favorite, purely based off suit aesthetics. Also, I'm glad Peter B. Parker is back. To be honest, I like him more than all of the live action Peters. Sue me. It's not by a lot, but I do love it when Peter Parker is in his 30s. Writers are always scared to take him past college age. I have other reasons why I like him as well, but I'll maybe save those for a different video. If I had to give a top 3 favorite Spider-Man from the background of this trailer, I would go with Insomniac Spider-Man, the Bombastic Bagman, and this guy.
You know, because there's always been a Ken inside of me.
If this isn't your number one unironically, then I don't know what to tell you. It's the type of thing where a live action Barbie movie can go in a lot of different directions, and a Greta Gerwig directed one with Margot Robbie as Barbie is the best possible direction, and the trailer shows off why that is the case so perfectly. The fact that it opens with a spoof of 2001: A Space Odyssey is great, because it shows you that they're letting Greta do whatever she wants. The target audience of Barbie has no idea what 2001 is, but studio execs don't care because they trust the process. That is filmmaking, baby! And then that closing montage shows off how the set design is on point, the costume design is on point, and the charisma is there. How can you not be hyped? The only thing I was questioning about this movie is the casting of Ryan Gosling as Ken. I don't think that platinum blonde suits him, but my worries were cured by every interview I've seen him talking about Ken.
You got a call from Greta Gerwig or an email.
Right.
And she offered you the role of Ken.
I walk out in the backyard, and do you know where I found Ken, Jimmy? Face down in the mud next to a squish lemon.
And this is the photo. You took a photo of it.
I texted it to Greta and I said, I shall be your Ken. Ken's got no money, he's got no job, he's got no house.
Okay.
He's going through some stuff. Those are not plot details. Those are just objective facts about Ken. That's the Ken life.
When you see the wardrobe for the first time, you see the concept for your hair, what goes through your mind?
Finally. I felt seen. I felt like I was seeing myself. I felt seen. I think a lot of Kens will feel seen when they see this. I would never correct Barbie. I would never dream of it. I would say whatever Barbie says is exactly right.
He stayed in the toy box.
He's an accessory.